Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm trying something new on my channel and I don't know how it's gonna go, but I love Reddit and I've only used Reddit for nosleep, but I love Reddit nosleep. I love it so much. I can spend hours reading posts on Reddit nosleep. If you don't know what Reddit nosleep is, Reddit's like an online forum community. And nosleep is a sub community of Reddit, and it's all like scary things. Like their whole like the little bio, it says nosleep is a subreddit for realistic horror stories. Everything is true here, even if it's not. So the whole point is that you read these stories, and if you interact with the stories, like if you have an account and you like comment, you have to take it for realistic value. It's a real story. They're telling you something that's really happening. So you have to respond as in like, oh no, I'm sorry, this is happening to you. Have you tried this? Oh, maybe it's this. Like, you know what I mean? You have to kind of just put your little doubts and like being like, oh, this is stupid away and just take it for real, even if they're not real, and most of them aren't real. Okay, hi Letty. Hi, you interrupted my video? As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. So basically everything on this site is true, is just basically, I mean, it's not, I doubt half of it's true, but if it was, this is just how you're acting if it's true. If you don't know what Reddit nosleep is, that's a basic general summarization of it. So I thought it would be fun to read some of the stories and then react with you guys, and I'll probably leave the links to the stories in the description box in case you want to like follow along, or if you don't like people reading stories out loud and you just want to read them yourself, that's fine. Some of these will probably be scary because this is a scary Reddit subreddit. So if you don't like scary things, this is probably not the video for you. So you can watch some of my other videos that aren't scary and about makeup and stuff. So let's take a look. I have my iPad here with Reddit open, and I just went to the top posts of this week. So this is just like current nosleep posts that did really well this week specifically. The first one I see is called Duolingo, which is an app that I know about, and it seems pretty short, so let's read it. It's called Duolingo and it's by Law Life LGBT, I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry, but I'll leave the link in the description bar. So, I do not want to live without my cheese slicer. The cats are wearing shoes. The vegetables do not like vegetarians. Sometimes Duolingo, my smartphone language app, comes up with strange sentences. It always made me laugh, but lately there's been a weird glitch with the app. I've been refreshing my German. My mother is a retired German teacher and spoke it to me growing up. However, now at 29, after years of almost no contact after I got married, she says she's not homophobic, but gee, what a coincidence that she started acting distant after I married a woman. Then finally, somewhat patching things up, I have forgotten a lot. I don't want to lose my knowledge, and German can be useful for work. I decided to take the placement test, then start from the basics again. My understanding is great, but I can't spell and have little grasp of grammar or the gender of items. Everything in German has either a masculine, feminine, or neutral gender. It's a pain in der Arsch, I think it's called. Ew, I don't know if I said that right, sorry. Anyway, the weird glitch I have been experiencing has to do with the question that required one to speak in the language being studied. The app works fine, as does my microphone. I get the answers right, but I don't think whatever the app is having me say is ordinary German. My skills might not be where they should be, but I know what German sounds like. This sounds similar, yet at the same time very different. It is written out in the same alphabet as German, but sounds older, rougher. I have recognized the word Valhalla a few times. The vowel sounds are different as well. My pronunciation is getting better, though. This is confusing. I wrote a note to the app maintenance, said, I think there's a problem with the German course. Some of the speaking practice questions aren't in German, but another language, possibly Nordic in origin, and I sent them a screenshot of one such question. The response was quite quick. We didn't put that in there. Are you sure your app is up to date and you're not using a hacked version or playing a joke for the internet? I guess I should have waited until after April Fool's Day to send in the report of this weird glitch, but since I don't want to lose my 268-day streak of practicing and the rest of the program is fine, I've kept using Duolingo. However, I did send a screenshot and recording of the app pronouncing the weird words for me to my brother, who has traveled a lot, and to a German professor at my former university, hoping he would share it around with professors from other languages as well. While I waited for a response and kept at it, weird things have happened. I mean, okay, global warming has been causing weird weather patterns lately, but whenever I practice outdoors and say one of the weird phrases, I hear thunder or see lightning. And often, a storm starts soon after. If I'm working on it while walking or working out, I seem to hear a second set of footsteps behind me, a separate breath. This was unnerving, of course, so I tried to stop using the app, though I mourned the loss of my, by now, 280-day streak. It didn't work. I lost some time the next day, and when I, for a lack of better word, woke up, I found myself in the middle of a lesson. I can't seem to stop using it. And today I saw something strange. I was practicing it and came across one of the strange phrases while sitting on my patio. Looking at a field in the park across the street, there was a clap of thunder that shook my eyes in their sockets, and I saw a huge, half-formed gray figure come down from the sky. But it vanished a moment later as I stumbled over how to pronounce the last word. Just a few minutes ago, I heard back from both my brother and the professor. My brother thinks the glitch is just Icelandic being mixed in, and after I sent him a few more of them, he thinks that, though he's confused by the total absence of modern words in what is supposed to be a 21st century language app. The professor had shared the glitch around until finally it reached a medieval history colleague of his. I received an email with both of them copied onto it. It's Old Norse, and given the strange happenings and the fact that I can't seem to put Duolingo down, I'm afraid of what will happen when I finally get the pronunciation right. And that's the end. That makes you not want to use Duolingo at all. Okay, well, that makes me not want to use Duolingo because I don't know what kind of languages they're teaching there, but I'm gonna say hard pass Duolingo. No, I'm just kidding. I've heard Duolingo is actually really helpful. But that post makes me not want to use it. This one's not too long, and it says, "My wife thinks she's a mermaid." I'm sorry, the title. This one's, is this scary? Are you sure? Okay, well, this is by XX Kikito XX. Ooh, I don't know, but it'll be linked in the description. Dad, Mom won't get out of the bath. My 8-year-old son Lucas informed me with relative calmness as he came down the stairs for breakfast. Oh? I raised an eyebrow in curiosity, an odd statement I thought, but he didn't seem distressed. It was more like he was making an offhanded comment. Yeah, she's just in there. I think she's asleep again, he explained as he sat down at the table with an exasperated huff. I could tell the poor kid was fed up, and I couldn't blame him. His mother, my heavenly wife, was known to pull stunts like this. She suffers from bipolar disorder, and when she doesn't take her medication and comes down from a high, she comes down hard, which takes its toll on all of us. It gets difficult to explain why Mommy doesn't want to come downstairs, or why she's always the one to make an embarrassing scene at school events without upsetting the kids, but I do the best I can. Now, while I do love her endlessly, I also have to admit that it's tiring to deal with, and since it's not uncommon for her to pick a part of the house and refuse to move from it for days on end, I wasn't really concerned either. The only unusual thing is that she would usually choose the bed or the couch as her spot, you know, somewhere comfortable. Though I guess I wouldn't put it past her to decide on the bathtub either. All right, thanks for letting me know, champ. I'll go get her. You just eat your breakfast and keep an eye on Lucy for me, okay? I instructed and gestured to where his little sister sat in her high chair, mashing food around her bowl. Okay, he answered simply. He was pretty used to looking after her when my wife wouldn't and when I wasn't home. If I'm honest, I always felt a twinge of guilt over it, but there was little I could do. I made my way upstairs to our bathroom to where I could hear my wife singing. Well, more humming, really, from the bathroom. It wasn't a tune, I knew, though it was melodic and a hauntingly beautiful quality to it. I smiled softly to myself, hearing her. Of course she was singing. Maybe she was having a good day after all. Upon reaching the bathroom, I knocked lightly on the door before opening it as she answered cheerfully, "Come in!" Hey, Pumpkin, what are "What are you doing?" I asked cautiously, unsure that I really wanted to know the answer as I examined the scene before me. There were bottles of various soaps thrown all around, their contents strewn about the walls and ceiling, creating a mosaic of splat of goo. And the bath mat seemed to be missing from the room entirely. The towel rack hung broken beside the bathtub where it had smashed the tiles as it fell, which in turn meant that there was tile shards and sprinkles of plaster coating the floor. All this chaos while my wife sat in the bathtub quite happily. She smiled up at me as she rested against the back of the tub with her torso and head out of the water. She was naturally also completely naked except for a drenched towel that covered her lower half. "I'm a mermaid now," she announced proudly and flopped her legs about under the towel as if they were joined. "Ah, I can see that," I agreed, as I caught on that she'd probably placed a towel there to represent her mermaid tail. "Do you want to join me? You can be a merman. It'll be so much fun." She tried to coax me. "I mean, it sounds good, but don't you want to come down and see Lucas and Lucy? I bet they'd love to see you," I suggested gently, trying to convince her. "No," she said firmly, and then continued in a sweet voice, "I don't want to. I can see them later. Just come play. The water is really nice," my wife insisted. I gave a small sigh, rubbing my hand over her face. "Anya, sweetheart, have you been taking your medicine?" I asked as neutrally as I could. With my question, her smile quickly turned into a scowl and she sneered. "You don't believe me. You never know how to have any fun anymore. You're so closed off. You're always trying to put me down. Go away. I don't want you in here. Go away," she shouted, thrashing and splashing water at me as she screamed. She was making quite a ruckus, and I was worried the neighbors might hear, so I backed out of the room respectfully. I could tell that she obviously hadn't been taking her medications, and that nothing I could say was really going to get through to her while she was in that state, so I made the decision that I would get Lucas off to school and call my parents to see if they could watch the kids for a couple of days while I dealt with her mood. Thankfully, my parents were more than happy to look after the grandchildren, and judging by the look on their faces when they came to pick up Lucas and Lucy, they probably understood the reason they were needed was related to Anya. With the kids gone, I spent the entire rest of the day trying to convince my wife to come out of the bath. For the most part, she ignored my pleading and instead just continued to sing to herself, even going as far as to get louder when I would try to speak. In a way, her humming was useful. Since I could hear it from anywhere in the house, it meant that I could move fairly freely and still know that she was okay in the tub. When I thought she calmed down a bit, I attempted to ask her again, "Anya, I made you some food. Do you want to give it a go?" I asked softly as I carefully re-entered the room. She ignored my question and my presence at first, folding her arms and continuing to hum, so I prompted again. "It's your favorite, salmon with garlic and ginger." This at least got a response. She turned to me slightly and then growled, "I'm a mermaid. I can't eat fish. Are you crazy?" She yelled again and I realized my mistake. "Oh, yeah, right, sorry." I apologized quickly and removed the dish from her sight. After that, I resolved to try another tactic. "Honey, don't you want to get out a moment so that we can change the water? It's getting cold by now, isn't it?" "I don't care. I like it cold," she answered bluntly, leaving me dumbfounded. I had never considered that she actually wanted to stay in cold water. Out of other ideas, I settled on turning up the heating in the home in hopes of keeping her warm and left her to splash about and sing to herself. The following day, I came to check on her early. I knew she was still okay because she was still singing, but I wasn't prepared for the odor that would hit me when I came into the room. I realized fairly quickly that she had relieved herself in the bathtub rather than leave the water, and the stench was enough to make me gag. At this point, I resorted to begging her to get out of the bath, at least to allow me to change the water, but she outrightly refused. When I tried to remove her forcefully, she kicked, scratched, and even bit me, making it impossible for me to get her out. So in the filth she remained. She called it the essence of a mermaid. I can say without any guilt that I was about ready to give up then and there. Now, I know this next part will sound stupid of me, but I just want you to know that everything ended up fine, and the smell was too much for any man to endure, so I left her alone for 10 minutes while I raced down to the store to buy some air fresheners. If she wasn't going to let me get rid of the putrid water, I had at least hoped that she'd allow me to hang air fresheners around the place. When I returned home, as I said, she was fine, still happily humming away to herself as she marinated in squalor, and I was quick to hang up the air purifiers. Her smell was now perforating the house. It's a wonder the neighbors didn't get a whiff. I fell asleep that night inadvertently from exhaustion while listening to her melody and breathing in the sweet, calming scent of vanilla. When I woke up the next morning, I rushed to check on her. I'd forgotten about her when I fell asleep, and panic gripped me. I raced to the bathroom and found, to my relief, that she was still generally all right. Her skin was a little blotchy from the cold, despite having the room heated, and when I touched her hand, I was horrified that some of her skin had just slopped off. Yelping in surprise, I recoiled, but she didn't seem to mind. "It's okay. I have to lose my human skin to become a full mermaid," she assured me with an unsettling smile. "Oh, of course, yeah." I agreed quickly, not wanting to send her into another rage. Honestly, I thought if she moved about too much, like she might if she got mad and started thrashing, that all her skin would fall off her limbs like a cheap costume. It was in those moments that I decided enough was enough. I couldn't continue the gentle, wait for her to come out of it approach anymore. I decided to call in her psychiatrist, Samantha. It was my hope that she'd be able to convince my wife to get out of the tub, and once I explained the urgency of the situation, she agreed to come over as soon as she could. I paced back and forth as I waited and met her anxiously at the door. When I opened it, wafting aromas of feces and vanilla hit her square in the face and she scrunched her nose. "I know, I'm sorry, it's Anya. I tried to mask it," I apologized quickly. "Where is she?" she asked with a nod of understanding. "Upstairs, first door on your left, can't miss it. Just follow the singing," I instructed. Samantha gave me a strange look when I said this. Her expression was somewhere between confusion and uncertainty. She didn't say anything else as she headed upstairs to find my wife. She probably didn't believe me. It did sound a little outlandish if I'm honest with myself, and I trailed after her anxiously. It's fair to say the days past had really taken their toll on me, and I was now a little more than a nervous wreck. But I wanted to be there when Samantha confronted my wife about her delusions. When we reached the bathroom, Samantha pushed the door open, slowly and softly called my wife's name. The seconds after passed tensely as she received no response, and I saw her eyes grow wide as she covered her mouth with a trembling hand. I could tell she was entering into shock. "I know, maybe I shouldn't have left it this long to call you, but she was so insistent on staying in the tub. Can you help her?" I confessed and asked uncertainly. "Help her?" she stammered, turning to see her expression relaying both disbelief and horror. I could see that behind her eyes her thoughts were traveling at 1,000,000 miles an hour as she tried to catch up with what she was seeing, and something in her mannerisms got me, and I began to panic. My heart began to thump heavily inside my chest. It seemed like the world was suddenly spinning more slowly, and as gravity crushed down on me, I realized that Anya was silent for the first time in days. Frantic, I pushed past Samantha to gain entry into the room when I saw for the first time the truth. The room was destroyed. Signs of a struggle were evident everywhere. I looked and my wife was there, motionless and decaying in the bath. She was half submerged in the water, leaning back against the tub edge. Her eyes were glazed over and she stared at me lifelessly. The water around her had putrefied. She had dark marks on her throat and her skin was swollen with liquid. Slowly, the realization dawned on me that she had been dead for days, and I swallowed hard as I looked over my own body, the scratches on my arms, the bruises, the bite marks. She had tried to fight. What the frick? Wait, so she actually wasn't doing any of that? Oh my god, so he murdered his wife and she's actually just been in there? Ew. So he killed her, wow. Oh, so she was never a mermaid. He was delusional. So maybe he was the delusional one and she wasn't. He just murdered her. I thought she was legit trying to be a mermaid. I mean, same, I want to be a mermaid too, but... That plot twist. Okay, nice. Let's do one more because my mouth is tired and I'm stuttering over words and I don't know if you guys are gonna like this. So let's finish up with the third story and then we'll just stop the video. So this one is called "My Dad Sits at the Table and My Mom Won't Look at Me." And this is by Jilkin. Okay. It'll be in the description. It was the strangest thing, walking into the kitchen for breakfast to find Dad sitting at the table, sober for once. My little sister was already there. She turned to me and smiled cheerfully. "Morning." "Hi," I murmured. She continued scoffing the pink. Scoffing? She continued scoffing. I think they meant scarfing. Scoffing, is that a word? Pancakes in front of her. Pancakes. Only Dad got pancakes. We got toast. But today, Dad had nothing but an empty plate. I sat down in front of the serving I assumed was mine, but I was hesitant to eat. "Where's Mom?" I asked no one in particular. "She has a headache," Dad answered. I couldn't meet his eyes. "Eat up. She made them for you." I stuck a fork into my food and ate, all the while staring at the table. I couldn't have been more relieved when it was time for school. It felt like a zone in there. I informed my best friend, Stu, later. I dawdled home that evening. Things changed sometimes. They got good, but it never lasted more than a few hours, a day if we were lucky. It was always worse after. I almost tripped on Lily's bag when I got in. She dumped it right by the door. I picked it up and made to sneak to our room. She knew Dad hated messes. Now we'd both pay. After I passed the kitchen, I fully expected it to be empty because Dad sat in the lounge after work, but it wasn't empty. Dad was in there, at the table, exactly where he'd been this morning. Mom was doing the dishes behind him. I froze like a deer in headlights. "Hi, Joe," Dad said. "Hi." The plates and cups clattered in the sink before Mom. "Hey, baby, dinner's at 6. Tell your sister." "Okay," I managed before scuttling to my room. Lily was already in there, lying on her bed and listening to music through headphones. I dropped her bag and snatched the headphones off her head. "Hey," she sat up and attempted to snatch them back. "You know the rules," I hissed. "No music before 5. "Dad doesn't care," Lily whined. I stared at her gobsmacked. Dad doesn't care? After everything? How could she say that? Sure, things were weird right now, but she knew. She knew he'd be back to normal any second. Why poke at a sleeping bear? I shook my head disappointingly. No music. Lily stood up on her bed and stared down at me. "You're going to be just like him if you keep that up." Her words stung. I just wanted to protect her. "He's been there all day, you know," she added, sitting down again. "And I asked Mom if I could listen to music, and she told me to ask Dad, and he said sure, right in front of her." As I digested her words, she snatched her headphones back, tucked them over her ears, and lay down with her back to me. I sat on my bed. What was going on? I was too afraid to verify what she had claimed and didn't want to believe it, so I just waited for the eventual stomp down the hallway, but it never came. At 6, Lily and I went to the kitchen for dinner. 2 places were set at our little round table, just like breakfast. We had a nice pork chop each and a heap of vegetables and mashed potato. Dad sat before his empty plate. Mom was nowhere to be seen. "Heya," he said. "Hi, Dad," Lily replied. I admired her ability to just go with it. We sat down and began to eat when beckoned to do so by Dad. Eventually it was too much. I had to ask, "Dad, where's yours?" My voice always came out so meek when talking to him. I hated it. He sniffed. That was a tell of his. When he was getting angry, just like a pig. Mom told me one night after one of his tantrums, just like a pig. "Don't worry about mine, just eat up and..." "Darling," Mom's voice rose from the bedroom down the hall. Dad's face dropped like I'd never ever seen. He went pale. His lips quivered into a smile directed at me. "Is it nice?" I continued to eat. Lily was staring between us like a tennis match. I couldn't sleep after. I lay in bed in the dark with butterflies stabbing at my stomach. Something was very wrong. I hadn't really talked to Mom since the day before yesterday. It was like she was avoiding us. And Dad, what was happening there? "Are you awake?" Lily's whisper interrupted my thoughts. "Yeah." "Okay, good night." I sat up on my elbows. "Lily, when you talked to Mom before, how was she? Was she okay?" I asked as quietly as I could. Voices traveled in this house since all the doors were taken away. "She seemed okay, I guess." "You guess? Did she have bruises or..." "I don't know. She never turned around." So that was it. He beat her up real bad, and now he was playing nice for a little while. I fell asleep worrying. The sound of dishes woke me up early. I immediately got up, hoping to get Mom alone before school, but it was no use. Dad was already there. Or maybe he never left. He looked a little gray, a little sweaty. For the first time in my life, I decided to be brave. "Mom," I said. She didn't stop washing up. "Mom, I have to talk to you. Alone." Dad eyed me. "Not now, baby," Mom replied. "Mom, please, I have to talk to you." "Darl, maybe you should talk to her," Dad suggested. Mom froze. It was so funny, so strange, Dad being the one to walk on eggshells. He sensed she wasn't happy behind him, and out came that pitiful smile again. "Please?" "Darling, you don't speak to me, remember?" His smile faltered. "You can't keep me here." "Leave then," Mom replied quietly. I backed up. Any minute now. Any minute, and he'd... "Please, please, please," Dad gritted out. "I'm sorry. How many times do I have to say it? What can I do?" "You can sit there just like you are," said Mom, her voice so clear, so unafraid. Dad pounded his fist on his plate. It shattered, and he cut his palm but didn't care. I jumped and almost ran. "I should have smashed your head all the way through. I should have smashed your head all the way through. But you did, darling. You did. Remember?" It was too much. I didn't understand, so I ran outside, still in my PJs, ran to me and Stu's favorite hideaway. Lily came and found me hours later. We walked home in silence. "Dinner's at 6, Mom said from the sink when we entered. Since then, I've just gone with it. The both of us have. Lily even put a party hat on Dad. Mom makes us food, she cleans the dishes, and we do the rest. Everything, down to paying the bills with Dad's money. I haven't seen her face in so long, and Dad never leaves the table. He's beginning to stink. What the heck? Oh, that's interesting. So I'm assuming that he killed the mom, and the mom's dead, and she's a ghost, and she's haunting him, and she's making him pay for all the abuse that he made her suffer. Which, I mean, not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying. That was a pretty good one. So that's the 3 stories I'm gonna read, because honestly this video is probably like 40 minutes long because I stuttered so much. I'm gonna have to edit out all my stuttering. That's so annoying, but I just like can't read after a long time. It's really hard. But so those are the 3 stories I'm gonna read, and I really hope you guys like this kind of content. If you do, I'll definitely make more of them. I love Reddit No Sleep. I think it's so fun. So if you like this kind of storytelling, listening to me kind of thing, let me know in the comments down below and give it a like. If you don't, you can let me know that too. I mean, just let me know if you'd like to watch it or not. If you're not into scary stuff, I'm really sorry. You can watch my other videos though. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!